Make It Right, the manufacturing podcast.
Welcome to the Make It Right podcast. I'm Janet Eastman. I recently passed through the cosmetic department of a large retail chain, and it got me thinking about this multi-billion-dollar industry. Though the market is directed at women, there was the occasional section for men presenting everything from fragrances to beard and shaving care to skincare products. This is a market that may just be on the cusp of huge growth. If you joined me for Make It Right episode 81 last week, you had the opportunity to hear how two entrepreneurs are bringing their hops and hemp-based organic skincare line for men to market. This week on the show, I continue my conversation with Chett Boxley. He's a chemist and a beer lover. And Chris Rebsamen, his partner, is a marketing executive. And they're the two fellows behind Batch 21. They're in the process of moving their products into large retail. And we pick up our conversation talking about how they source their ingredients, manufacture their hops and hemp skincare line, and how they're moving their endeavor forward. When you're sourcing ingredients, are there any challenges getting those right ingredients? I mean, is it down to specific hops and specific types of hemp that you need?
So we have particular suppliers that we buy for each ingredient, in particular the hops and the hemp. And I can definitely say that not all suppliers are created the same, just like in any industry. This one's no different. But so we are careful about how, we selected the suppliers based on their processing for how they produce the materials. So for example, the hemp seed oil is, it's cold pressed virgin material. So we know that it's, organic, certified, and it'll come off in a certain way. And the cold pressing is really important for us because we want to preserve all the phytonutrients that are inside the hemp seed oil just naturally. And that if you use a hot process, can break down those materials and leave it less effective for skin penetration and skin health overall, moisturization properties that we want to preserve. And the same thing with the hops. So we prefer a very gentle extraction of the essential oil out of the hop cones. It's usually supercritical CO2 that they use to extract it. And so knowing the suppliers and meeting with them and talking with them and knowing how their extraction process goes and how it works and trusting that. And we tested several suppliers of each one, of each ingredient, and the other ones that are in there as well, because there's a really nice jojoba oil and a mango butter, things that are non-comedogenic and don't clog the pores on the face and cause a breakout or something like that. So carefully selecting those ingredients so that we know how it's going to benefit the skin and preserve that beneficial by choosing the right supplier.
How important is it to keep your production to those small batches? And what's going to happen when you start to scale?
So for us, it's
like
really
Whole
important.
Foods is coming, Chett, right?
I know. It's one of those challenges that we look forward to because small batch production to me is important. I kind of liken it to the craft brewery movement. So they produce their quality beer in a very small, much smaller than the big giants of the world, but the beer just is a different, much higher quality product that they can control the ingredients going in much easier. They can control the product coming out much easier. And when you're doing things on smaller scale, you just have much more control of what's happening in any kind of mixing tank or any kind of brewing tank or whatever industry you're talking about. You have more control over things when they're smaller. So for us, we're going to keep it small. But we'll just have to do more batches per day or batches per week or whatever unit of time you want to measure in is what it's going to mean to us when these things come. And so, there'll be a little bit less of economies of scale than other manufacturers. We get that. We're willing to accept that.
Yeah. Are you like the brewmaster there and you have people helping you, or are you making all the batches yourself? I'm trying to get a visual here.
Well,
that's
I do like to think of
question.
myself as a brewmaster. But we do have help. It's not just me. But it's a little bit of both. I do like the thought of being, I've never called myself a brewmaster, but I might have to think about that.
So
it has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, it does kind of, doesn't it? Right? So it's mostly men that are using your product. And if so, like, what's the opportunity here? Because I keep thinking about the male skincare market. The industry is really growing. Chris, you must have researched this a lot. What's the size of this opportunity for you? If, it is mostly men that you're targeting, even though it is kind of a unisex product.
Yeah. So there's two answers to that question. One, the male opportunity is still a very virgin market. Mm-hmm. It hasn't matured at all. The room for growth is exceptional. I mean, it's huge. The second to that is as far as to make sure you do it right. Second point is really, you have to make sure you do it right. Coming from my background, I like to scale as fast as possible. So I've had to kind of temper my enthusiasm a little bit. Because, Chett brought up a fact where, when we get into Whole Foods, it's been a learning experience, and we didn't anticipate this to happen so quickly. So we wanted to kind of follow through and kind of get our place in the market first before we actually, quote unquote, go for the scale. We've talked to several retailers, and there hasn't been a retailer that hasn't liked or were dissatisfied with the packaging. We've not had a lot of negative feedback. We've made adjustments. So we know the product it gives us product validation. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to set up ourselves with Whole Foods, then take a look at the market again. And that's kind of where I'm getting at, is take a look at the market, kind of see where the holes are and assess and take our strengths. We also have some weaknesses, and kind of size up our opportunities. And the opportunities, once we get into Whole Foods, will open up because two things. One, we're in Whole Foods. And two, our product has gone through their system and also their setup process and their product validation. So it gives us a lot of credit going into other retailers out of the gate, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So the size of the market is huge. The creativity behind our product certainly will fit the market. It's just timing right now, I think, for us to focus on the male category itself, and just take one step at a time.
So you have a few months before February comes along. So you've got some things to take care of, I guess, in that time period, and then it's who knows where it goes from there. That's awesome. So
yeah, we're. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, we're actually still in process with Whole Foods right now. So we just want to make sure that all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Yeah. Again, just to be ready for our scaling.
Yeah. So this may seem like a bizarre question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you guys enjoying yourself? Is there any downside to turning, particularly for you, Chett, your passions for chemistry and beer into a business?
Am I having fun? Absolutely. I think no doubt about it. There's always challenges, of course, to growing and scaling and building a business on something. But, I'm excited to get up every day and come in and work on the project. So, and as long as that's happening, I'm good.
Yeah. So no downsides that you can think of.
Oh, no downsides?
Yeah.
To loving what I do? No, I mean, honestly, it's a fun project, and I really enjoy working on it, and I'd love to see it grow and keep doing its thing. And so as far as I can see, it's sky's the limit kind of thing.
Yeah. So what about some key takeaways for anybody who's thinking of launching a product on their own that have, some passions that they really think that they have a good idea for and they want to go for it? Any stories you can share? Any key takeaways, you guys?
Patience.
Patience. Yeah.
Patience. Something I'm not very good at. Patience and tenacity. You have to keep at it because the business isn't going to grow overnight. And as much as we see those companies that are move fast, but we don't really look beyond that, meaning when did it actually start? I mean, Apple started in a garage and was in development for many years before it boomed. So one of my key takeaways from this experience is patience and just keep at it. If you set your goals and make sure they're achievable goals, not pie in the sky goals, and you hit those goals and consistently, you'll build a business. Make sure that you understand the market, you understand where you sit, you understand your competition. Because if you don't understand that, it goes back to the whole marketing thing. Because it comes down to once you hit shelf, you have to perform. And if you don't perform, you get one shot. So you have to make the best of it. So planning and patience is very important in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you, Chett?
I would, I echo those comments, and I will say, like, from the chemist perspective, we spent a lot of time developing the product itself from a scientific viewpoint, and I thought that was going to be the hard part, the challenge, was creating the product itself, because you do have one shot, right, to impress a customer and everything, and it's got to perform when people actually do use it and so forth. But it turns out, in my opinion, now that I've done this, Chris has the harder job than I do. The product the science of it happens, it does, we make it, but the marketing of it is way harder. So my advice to any chemist out there or scientist in general trying to do this is to partner with somebody who's got that expertise in that marketing sales regime, in that realm, and go for it with them in a true partnership. So that would be my advice. And then some of I think you'd asked like funny stories or lessons learned, something along those ways. And I have definitely learned that doing events, like a lot of these, as you start off in a young company, you're at small booth type events, and I have learned that I don't do any booth events anymore that doesn't have beer present. If I walk away with nothing else, I've had a good quality beer and I've enjoyed my evening talking to customers and friends and family and whoever shows up at the booth. But worst case scenario, I have a good quality beer and I can walk out happy. So.
Well, and ultimately, wasn't that at the root of one of your passions, right? So
exactly, right. So I get back to what I enjoy the most, and either way, it's a win for me.
Well, I have to congratulate you both. I think the product is fantastic. It looks, the website's great. The packaging is great. The whole concept behind it is great. And as a craft beer lover, I salute you for what you're doing. And hey, maybe that's why I have good skin. I'm drinking all the hops, right? So
hey,
yeah,
better living through chemistry.
There's better living through chemistry. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing the Batch 21 story, and good luck over the next couple of months, and keep us posted on how things go when you get out there and start hitting the market really hard.
Great. Well, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. So Chett and Chris are with Batch 21. Chris Rebsamen is a marketing guru. He's been on our show before as the president of Jupiter Sales and Marketing. And Chett Boxley is a chemist and a certified natural and organic skincare formulator. And their product is called Batch 21. If you want to check it out, just go to www.batch-21.com. That's our show for this week. Please check out our Twitter and LinkedIn feeds that are on our podcast page, and subscribe and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues through iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. The Make It Right podcast is brought to you by Kevin Snook, leadership advisor and author of the best-selling book, Make It Right, 5 Steps to Align Your Manufacturing Business from the Front Line to the Bottom Line. Until next time, I'm Janet Eastman. Thanks for listening to the Make It Right podcast.